Hey everyone, my name is Ish. I'm the founder of TARS. We've been building AI agents for customer experience for almost a decade now. We've worked with the likes of Vodafone, American Express, Netflix, and the agents that we've deployed for them have handled millions of conversations with their end customers. Now, this is a long way of saying that I've been on every side of this conversation, be it about building the product or be it about selling to these enterprises, seeing what works in production and what doesn't, and specifically how the industry has been talking about it versus what exactly is happening inside the dashboard. Today, I want to focus on one word, one specific metric that I feel is one of the most misunderstood, misused metric in AI sales right now, and that's deflection. If you've sat through an AI vendor pitch in the last couple of years, you've probably heard this term, probably with a big number next to it, 70%, 80%, and sometimes even 90% mentioned. Deflection is one of the oldest ideas in customer experience and probably one of the most corrupted word at this point of time. Let me show you why. Deflection is not really an AI concept. It's not even a software concept. It's as old as the commerce itself. Walk into a Target, every aisle has a big board hanging from the top with a number, and next to that number is mentioned what you would find in that aisle. Could be dairy, pet food, cereal, pharmacy, anything. You don't flag down an employee to ask where the milk is. You look up, you see the sign, and you go. That's deflection. Back in 1967, Amsterdam Schiphol literally hired a designer to build what we call as the world's first color-graded airport wayfinding system. And he did this specifically so that passengers could find their way, could find the gate without reaching out to any of the ground staff. And they had a word for it, passenger first. This is a true story of deflection. 60 years ago, no AI, no chatbot, just pure signage. Fast forward a couple of decades and the ATM shows up. For most of the 20th century, if you wanted to withdraw $20 from your account, you stood in a line and spoke to a teller and got the money. And then a machine on the wall took that interaction completely away. The bank stopped paying a human to count that money. The customer still got the money. Both the sides won. That's the cleanest deflection story financial services has ever had. Deflection correlated with two things almost every ops leader cared about: lower cost per interaction and shorter queues. The math is simple. If fewer conversations reached a human, your customer support costs go down and your customers waited for a less amount of time. And for a while, this math just worked out. The ATM was definitely a convenient option for the customer, and over a long period of time, it became a fraction of a cost of a teller. Everybody won. So naturally, everyone tried to copy it, and that's when things got messier. In the 80s and 90s, every business had a phone tree. Press 1 for billing, press 2 for technical support, press 3 to hear these options again. The dashboards looked incredible. Massive percentages of callers were being handled without reaching an actual agent. On paper, it was ATM all over again. But the reality is this was the moment when people started shouting rep over their phones. The metrics said the calls were being handled, but the customers, they were furious. Nobody on the operations side noticed this for years because everybody was just calculating how many customers did not reach an agent. Nobody was looking at that the customer actually got an answer to their question. That gap between didn't reach a human and actually got what they came for is the entire story of this video. Here's the definition of deflection rate that you would find in every vendor glossary, word for word, give or take. Deflection rate is the percentage of the number of issues handled by self-service divided by the total number of issues submitted. Of the people who reached a support, how many did not reach a human? That's the entirety of this metric. Now, here's the thing. Notice what's there in the formula and then notice what isn't. No CSAT, no resolution, no mention of the fact that was the customer actually happy at the end of the conversation or were they not? The metric just wants to know one thing. Was an actual human involved? Yes or no? Which means that this number collapses three different outcomes into the same bucket. Outcome 1, customer asks AI a question, gets a great response, walks away happy, deflected. Outcome 2, customer asks AI a question, gets a mediocre response, keeps clicking buttons, wasn't really happy, drops off, deflected. Outcome 3, customer asks AI a question, gets a totally useless answer, gets frustrated, closes the tab. Again, this counts as deflection. All of these 3 outcomes look identical to the metric, but only one of them is actually a win. Think about a self-checkout at a grocery store for a second. This self-checkout deflected the cashier to that customer conversation. Great, but the metric that the store is tracking is the number of transactions that went through that kiosk. It doesn't see the person who scanned 3 items, could not find the barcode on the 4th one, and eventually just walked out of the store. To the metric, this person is not very different from another person who breezed through and bought everything they had come for. Same kiosk, same green number, 2 very, very different stories. That's deflection rate in one image, right? And I do this myself all the time. I'm trying to find a flight status, dispute a charge, or just see if my warranty covers something or not. The chat pops up, I type in my question, the AI gives me a response that's clearly pulled from a wrong article. I try once more, it gives me an even worse response. At that point, I just close the tab. I don't wait for a human, I don't even ask for a human, just close the tab and go. In someone's dashboard, it's a success story. It's a deflection that has happened. But in real life, I walked away as an unhappy customer. Now, here is what makes this especially dangerous right now. For the last 10-15 years, didn't reach a human was actually a pretty okay proxy for was helped, because the stuff chatbots could handle was mostly FAQ based. So if you asked a question and it got deflected, it was probably because your question was pretty simple for the AI to respond. The lie inside that metric was pretty small. That's not the world anymore. AI agents can reason, they can retrieve, they can call APIs and tools, they can issue refunds, they can change your flight bookings. The ceiling on what a self-service interaction can do right now has gone up by an order of magnitude, which basically means that the gap between didn't reach a human and actually got helped has gone up by the same order of magnitude. The lie inside that metric is not that small anymore. With an AI agent, the worst case is that agent does something totally confidently and does it in an incorrect manner. Cancels the wrong booking, quotes the wrong policy, tells you are covered when you're not. And the deflection metric calls all of that a success because no human got involved. I'll give you a concrete example from our side. In one of our enterprise deployments, we evaluated the AI agent against live chat agents for the same conversations. Same customers, same conversations. 78% of the time, the AI agent had a better CSAT than the human agents. Deflection on that set was 100%, but we got nothing out of that deflection rate number. The resolution, the customer satisfaction score, that is something that told us that something real was happening. Deflection rate tells you about your org chart. Resolution is something that cares about the customer and tells you if your customers are happy or unhappy. So let's get back to the start. A vendor tells you we deliver 70% deflection. You used to hear 70% of the problems or the issues solved without a human. But now you hear 70% of the conversations where human was not involved for reasons that we are not even measuring right now. That's the same statement, but now that you know the real meaning of the metric, you can understand that these are two very, very different things. The number that you should really care about is resolution, or the fact that how many customers were happy or unhappy after speaking with your AI agent. The airport put up signs in 1967 so that passengers could find their gate, not so that they'll just give up and sleep in a baggage claim. Similarly, the bank put up an ATM on the wall so you could get those $20, not so that you would walk without your money. So go ahead and measure the thing the sign was for. That's deflection rate. See you in the next one.